Hey everyone, just so you know, the following video is a clip from a show I actually do on AFTV. The full link for the video is in the description below. Thank you for your continued support, really appreciate it. So defensively, improved, I agree. There's a fluidity issue though, which we've touched on. We said this could be the big part of the show. Now, I'm going to just rattle off a load of stats. I'm not going to go through all of them, but there's a lot of depth and detail and data that we've got that supports that Arsenal, there's something they're not doing right when it comes to actually breaking teams down and playing that kind of electric football we saw last season. Whether it's by design or not, the point is we're not doing it. Now, Arteta might think, yeah, that's fine. I know we've taken away from it. But as Arsenal fans, we love the excitement of last year. And this season we're really struggling, and I want to try and explore how we can try and rediscover that a little bit, because there's got to be a balance. Now, we've got Arsenal's attacking stats in the Premier League per game last season compared to this season. Now, I'm not going to go through all of them, but in every single metric we've gone down. XG, shots, key passes, passes to the final third, passes into the penalty area, progressive passes, shot creating actions, penalty area touches, and attempted take-ons. Every single one is down per game, every single one. And you might say, because you're looking at them, hit pause if you want to read all of these, but there's not a lot in it. 1.89 down to 1.75 in terms of XG. Shot creating actions from 27.5 per game to 25.8 per game. You know, you're probably thinking there's probably not that much difference between, you know, last year and this season. But if you project those, if you stretch them out over a whole season, you actually start to realize that we're currently on course at the end of the season to accumulate an XG of basically 6 less than last season. We're on course to have 60 less shots than last season. We're on course to have 40 less key passes. We're on course to have 30 less passes into the final third, 30 less passes into the penalty area, and almost 100 less progressive passes. Over a 38-game season, it seems like actually that does stretch into quite a big drop-off in terms of attacking stats. Now, let me show you this as well, that comes from the analyst and Opta. Arsenal's zones of control. And when you look at it here, we talk about zone 14, which is this area of the pitch outside the penalty area. You can see Arsenal, the blue areas mean Arsenal have control. The grey areas means it's contested, it's kind of, you know, either side, it's neutral. And red means Arsenal don't have control. Now, we don't have control of zone 14, that D area of the penalty area at the moment, where your 10 sort of operates, where your false 9 drops in. But we also don't have control of any of the left or right half spaces of that side either. Where Odegaard, Xhaka, Jesus are having a lot of fun, we don't have control. Man City are at best neutral in those areas, but seem to be controlling the left half space, as you can see from this graphic. Then Tottenham are controlling the right and left half space and are neutral in that zone 14 area. Why is that? Why have Arsenal not been able to get control of those areas? Something that Arsenal did so well last season. And it's not just a case of, well, it's difficult to. Tottenham and Man City are doing it. We are actually losing the battle in the zone 14 area at the moment.
You know, I think there's a number of reasons for that. I would say if you look at the game on Saturday, we had no Thomas Partey at number 6, we had no Odegaard right-sided 8, and we had no Gabriel Jesus, who are 3 of our most able players to sort of like make things happen in those parts of the pitch. I think there's also an issue, I think, personally, with the way we build up from the back. And I think we're not getting the ball forward this season quick enough to our number 8s. Mm-hmm. I think last season we averaged something like nearly 3 direct attacks per game, somewhere between 2 and 3 direct attacks per game, and that's down to just over 1 now. We are struggling, I think, in the number 6 position without Thomas Partey. I think Thomas Partey's influence, I think, is a major reason why, or his lack of game time in that area. Because remember, when we played him at the start of the season, we played him right back. He's somebody who, when he takes the ball at number 6, when you pass into him, he's somebody who can break lines, and he's someone who can progressively carry the ball forward to make team shape collapse. So what we saw on Saturday with Newcastle was they literally stopped us through the centre of the pitch.
Well, we've got data from the Opta analyst. This was going into the Newcastle game that had Arsenal ranking bottom of all teams in the Premier League for actual percentage of attacks down the middle third. That's 22.3%. The likes of West Ham and Luton around us, Man City, Tottenham, and even Everton around 40% in the top 3. Arsenal not going down the middle in the way other teams are. Now, I also want to show this. is Eddie Nketiah's heat map, because it's not just about going down the middle, it's about fluidity, it's about moving into changing of positions. Now, Eddie Nketiah in this game, in fact, let's just get the 11s back up. Right, Eddie Nketiah, we know, likes to occupy this area. Now, what I'm going to say about Eddie is I actually want to give him and Havertz a little bit of credit. People might think, really? They tried. And that's all I can ask. And this is going to sound really horrible. If they're not good enough, they're not good enough. If they're not good enough or a suit for a certain opposition, fine. But they tried. They tried to do what was needed in the game, and they really struggled. But Eddie Nketiah, he has played for Arsenal long enough for us to know that he doesn't want to always run the channels. He can sometimes, but he doesn't always want to interchange. He wants to be in the penalty area. He wants to be close to goal. He wants to be occupying defenders as best as possible. Now, I've got here, I'll show you, his heat map in this game against Newcastle, and you can see the main orange zone is much more central, getting to those areas that, fun enough, we were just saying we don't feed the ball into enough of. I wonder whether that's a trust thing, you know, is Eddie getting to areas that actually will not designed to feed the ball, but I think you're right, it's more Thomas Partey's and actually there to sort of feed through the lines. Let me show you Jesus' heat map from the game against Newcastle last season when we won away from home, drifting out to the left, coming into those left areas and interchanging and ensuring that you're constantly asking questions of the Newcastle defenders. Now, we saw 2 chances. Now, neither of these are the goals against Newcastle last season, but I just want to show you this. Now, this comes from a long ball, but look how narrow Saka, Martinelli, Jesus and Odegaard all are. They're all narrow here. Saka's come all the way over to that left-hand side. Jesus is wider than Martinelli. But this is just called instinctive play, interchanging, having fun going forward. And in this attack, Odegaard makes the darting run, but Martinelli makes the run to support. As Jesus stays out wide, rolls it into Martinelli, who cuts it back for Odegaard and forced a great save out of Pope. Watching it, you might all now remember that chance. But again, Odegaard, central and driving into those attacking areas. We didn't see this once from Kai Havertz. I say not his fault, maybe it is his fault, but I wouldn't even expect that really of him. And then you've got this other chance away at Newcastle last season. Arsenal are just playing out the back. They've played all the way around. I think we even recreated this when we did Tactical Insight during that 2-0 win. It comes to Zinchenko. We're inviting them all the way up. But what does Odegaard recognise? That pocket of space there. That one area that we have just said Arsenal aren't dominating. According to the Opta analyst stats, we are not controlling those areas of the pitch like we did last season. Odegaard runs off Willock into that space, receives it from Zinchenko. And as he gets it, it's a lovely little touch. Rolls into Martinelli, not Jesus, not Eddie Nketiah. Where's Jesus? He's out wide here. And this is the thing that I think Arsenal are missing. Again, just show it as he gets this ball and Jesus is hugging the touchline. It is difficult from Cher and Botman to know who's picking up Martinelli, because going into the game, neither of them had a plan to pick up Martinelli. Why? Because Jesus has drifted left, though he is normally occupying that space. Runners in beyond, getting into half spaces and playing through balls through the lines. I felt those openings were there on the weekend. I felt Arsenal could have still done this, but I don't think we had the players to do it with Havertz in this Odegaard role and Nketiah in this position, not drifting out and mixing up with Martinelli, and therefore we didn't have that fluidity, and we made it very, very easy for Newcastle. Even when we did play through their first line, play through their midfield, I don't think we asked the defence anywhere near enough questions with our movement off the ball.
I think you're absolutely right, because what Gabriel Jesus offers you off the ball and on the ball is far superior to what Eddie can do. He can change positions with Martinelli, as you say. Martinelli can come inside, Jesus can go out wide. Eddie's not so good at that. And I don't think Havertz can go out wide if Saka wants to come inside as effectively.
Agreed.
So there's parts of the team that are not working. I think a key point I would like to add also on this debate that you've raised today is almost like the game state of the game. So what we saw last season with Arsenal, we started fast in a lot of games, scored a lot of early goals. And once you do that and you take the lead in games, then the team have to come more out of their shape. So what you find is that we were able to sort of like go more direct because they were coming forward more, and we were able to play through the lines more easily because of the game state. We were leading in games and they were having to sort of like open up more.
I want to show the changes that I'd be making for Sevilla on the weekend, because it's very easy for us
Wednesday night.
Yeah, of course, there you go. I'm not used to this Champions League thing. The reason I want to go through this is because it's very easy for us to just sit here and go, this is wrong, that's wrong. okay, what would we do differently? Firstly, David Raya, if you want to keep him in goal, fine. I would change for Ramsdale. He did very well last season, familiar with the back four. Another mistake from Raya for me in this goal as well. Neither are really claiming the position right now, but Ramsdale, apart from one error at West Ham, I don't think has done too much wrong. I then take Tomiyasu out of the 11 and I bring Zinchenko back. I'll explain why in a sec. Havertz, bench, sorry mate. Fabio Vieira, get him in. And then this might be a weird one. Jorginho I'd take out and I'd get, can you see El Neni anywhere? There he is. I'd get El Neni in. I know he's barely played, but he's got legs, he covers ground more similarly to a Thomas Partey. And then in Nketiah, I'd take out the 11 and I'd get Trossard through the middle. Now the reason I'm saying I'd go for this is because I want to do our best to recreate these attacking patterns that we saw last season with at least players of a similar profile. Have Zinchenko in build-up like he did really well last season. Have your back three in build-up as well. And then let's move Gabriel along slightly. And then get Vieira trying to replicate what Ødegaard was doing last season, getting in the pockets, playing 1-2s with Saka. Get Trossard coming into these spaces. We were just talking about the areas of the pitch that we're not dominating. Let's get Vieira, Trossard, and Declan Rice, who quite frankly has been brilliant whatever you've asked him to do, so why not ask him to do this as well? Get them into these pockets. You've got quality here that can actually do something in those areas that can make teams sort of struggle, that can pull defences out of place, like you said, can make defensive structures collapse.